Original post. My fiance's mom keeps borrowing money from our joint account like it's her personal ATM, and he doesn't see the problem. Am I losing my mind? So, quick background. I, 28F, live with my fiance, 29 Mem, let's call him Jake. We've been together 4 years, engaged for 1, wedding planned for next summer. Until about 3 months ago, things were smoothish. Then we decided to merge finances because, adulting, worst decision ever. Jake comes from a family where money is, let's call it fluid. Like if you ask his mom, Karen, 56F, for $100, she'll say she doesn't have it. But she'll also be wearing brand new acrylic nails, carrying a Michael Kors purse, and posting about her girls' trip on Facebook. I didn't realize how bad it was until I started noticing weird Venmo transactions. Stuff like, Manny PD, 65s, Target run, 243. How much stuff do you buy at Target? Smoothie King, 12.87, 3 separate times in one day. At first, I thought Jake was just bad at budgeting, but when I confronted him, he was like, oh yeah, that's just mom, she has my login. Excuse me, his mom has our joint account login. Apparently she's been borrowing money for years, and Jake just lets her. He swears she always pays him back, but when I asked for receipts, he just shrugged and said, well, she usually covers dinner when we visit. Sir, that is not repayment. That is feeding us hamburger helper once a month. So I told him it needs to stop. Guess what he said? Oh, but she's family, we can't say no to family. Cool. Well, my family says no to me all the time, so maybe I was adopted? Reddit comments I've gotten so far. Because yes, I posted a baby version of this on r.personalfinance and people lost their minds. You throwaway? Pigeon Lord? Change your banking password today. This isn't a family issue. This is theft. You, glitter gremlin. Girl, she's not borrowing. She's stealing. If your fiancé doesn't care, you've got 2 problems. His mom and him. You, Dad Bod Supreme, 69. I guarantee Karen is never paying this money back. Tell her to open her own OnlyFans if she needs Target hauls that badly. I actually spat out my LaCroix at that last one. Anyway, I tried to set a boundary. I told Jake, change the password. We'll make her a budget. I'll even set her up with Mint or Ian Abe. He looked at me like I just suggested we kick a puppy. But what if she needs something urgent? I said. Then she can call you like a normal person instead of sneaking into our account like the Hamburglar. That led to our first big fight about money ever. He said I'm being controlling, and that I don't understand how his family works. I said, if his family's system involves bankrupting me via acrylic nails, then maybe I don't want to understand. To make it worse, Karen actually called me directly yesterday. She said, honey, I don't know why you're being so tight-fisted. Money comes and goes. Family is forever. Lady, I'm not sure if you're quoting a Hallmark card or laundering money for the mob, but either way, stop draining my checking account. So yeah, here I am. I love Jake. I want to marry him. But if his mom is part of the package deal, like literally, she thinks she has a debit card attached to my uterus, then IDK what to do. Am I the crazy one here? Do I just suck it up and accept that Karen tax is part of my relationship? Or do I put my foot down and risk being the evil witch future daughter-in-law? TM. TLDR. Fiancé's mom uses our joint bank account like it's Amazon gift cards. Fiancé thinks it's fine. I think it's financial terrorism. What do I do? Update 1. I took Reddit's advice and changed the password. Guess who showed up at my door with tears, Target bags, and a guilt trip? First off, wow, I didn't expect my post to blow up like that. I logged in the next morning and had like 800 notifications. Half of you are begging me to dump Jake yesterday. The other half are just roasting Karen's shopping habits. Special shout out to you, Horge, sad boy in finance, who said, if she's hitting Target like it's her second job, you better believe she's also the kind of woman who steals the little salt and pepper shakers from Applebee's. I have not stopped laughing because that is literally something I could see her doing. But also, thanks. Because after reading your comments, in NGL, rage scrolling through R to R just no mill for inspiration, I did it. I changed the joint account password. Here's what happened. Jake was at work, so I figured it was the safest time. I logged in, reset the password, and turned on every security feature possible. Like, if Karen wants in now, she's gonna have to pass 2-factor authentication, a retinal scan, and probably the SATs. Then I texted Jake, FYI, I changed the password. If your mom needs money, she can ask you, not the bank. No response. For hours. Which, in hindsight, should have been my first clue. He was busy telling his mom. At 6:30 that night, there's a knock on the door. Who is it? Karen. With 3 Target bags, her hurt puppy eyes, and a speech ready to go. She didn't even say hi. She just goes, so, I hear I'm locked out of my own son's account now. I said, not your account. Our account. And yes, you are. She clutched her chest like I'd told her Santa wasn't real. Then she launched into this Oscar-worthy monologue about how she was just trying to get a few things for the house. Ma'am, why are you buying shower curtains for my house uninvited? And how I was being cold and selfish. The kicker. She pulled out a Target receipt and said, see, it's not like I'm spending much. It was $312 for candles, throw pillows, and something called a decorative poof. What even is a decorative poof? Why does it cost $79.99? Jake came home in the middle of the circus, and instead of backing me up, he immediately went into peacemaker mode, hugged her, gave her tissues, told me I was being harsh. I said, harsh? Harsh is stealing $3 from my account and expecting me to be okay with it, because it smells like pumpkin spice, he said. She was going to pay us back, I said. With what money? The cash back from her CVS coupon card? He didn't laugh. I did, though, inside. Some of your comments that aged like psychic predictions. Juve Finance Goblin 420. As soon as you cut off access, she's going to throw a tantrum and weaponize guilt. Bet you $50 she cries in your living room within the week. Ding ding ding, spot on. You win. Latu Target Employee MA. LMAO, she's not even buying groceries. She's buying vibe items. Tell her if she wants to live in an aesthetic Pinterest board, she can start an Etsy store. I read this one out loud while she was mid-rant. Not my finest moment. Anyway, after Karen left, still crying, BTW, Jake told me I need to apologize for embarrassing her. I told him the only person who should be apologizing is the one who thinks decorative poofs are a necessity. We didn't talk the rest of the night. He slept on the couch, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Karen's mad, Jake's mad, and I'm over here, Googling prenup for idiots. TLDR, change the password. Karen showed up with Target bags and tears. Jake took her side. I'm starting to wonder if I'm engaged to a man or a very tall, bearded extension of his mother's checking account. Karen went full Facebook rant mode, and now half the family thinks I'm starving her. Also, Jake is still defending her. Okay, so, remember how in my last update I said I was Googling prenup for idiots? Yeah, should have Googled how to block your future mill on Facebook instead, because Karen didn't just cry and move on. Oh no, she went nuclear. 2 days after the Target bag showdown, my best friend texts me a screenshot from Facebook. Guess who's posted a long, rambling status about how she's being cut off by her future daughter-in-law and not even allowed to buy basic necessities like food. Yup, Karen, with a crying selfie attached. A crying selfie. The comments? Oh, they were a circus. OMG hun, you don't deserve this. Family should never treat you like that. She's controlling him before they're even married. Text me, I'll bring you some groceries. Groceries. This woman had $300 worth of candles and throw pillows in her car when she cried on my couch. But now she's acting like I've got her locked in a basement feeding her bread crusts. To make it worse, some of Jake's extended family saw the post and are now texting him things like, we always knew she was cold, and blood is thicker than water. And Jake, instead of defending me, he just said, well, you know how mom is. She gets dramatic. Maybe just let her have a little money sometimes so she feels secure. I stared at him for a full 5 seconds trying to process that. Let her have a little money sometimes. Like she's a cat we need to feed treats to so she doesn't scratch the furniture? Reddit callouts. Because y'all are psychic. Gippa Salty Stepmom 88. Mills like this will absolutely run a smear campaign on Facebook. Screenshot everything. You are a prophet. I have a whole folder now called Karen Crimes. You, Finance Ferret. OP. If Jake can't stand up to his mom, you don't have a mill problem, you have a fiancé problem. Yeah, this one hit me in the gut. Because honestly, true. You, Smoothie Bro 77. Wait till she tries to open a credit card in his name. This is just the prequel. Don't you dare manifest that into existence. The kicker of the week, Karen actually called me, again, and said, you don't understand. I need this. It's not for me. It's for the family. I asked, what family? She said, well, Jake. And you, technically. So apparently, buying 30 pumpkin spice candles is now a family need. Cool. When I told her no, again, she pulled the I raised him, I deserve some help card, which like, fine, you raised him. But you don't get a lifetime stipend for popping out a kid 30 years ago. This isn't Social Security, Son Edition. Meanwhile, Jake keeps telling me to compromise. I asked what compromise looks like, and he said, maybe we set a monthly allowance for mom. So now we're considering putting his 56-year-old mother on an allowance. Like she's 12. I'll admit, I'm spiraling a little. I love Jake, but I cannot live in a world where Karen has unlimited swipe access to my future mortgage. And if I'm being real, the Facebook post has me shook. Because she's already turning people against me, and we're not even married yet. Like, am I about to marry into a family cult, where Karen is the leader, and Target is the sacred temple? TLDR, Karen made a Facebook post, implying I'm starving her. Half the family thinks I'm Cruella de Vil. Jake wants to give her an allowance. I want to give her a one-way ticket out of my bank account. We tried giving Karen a monthly allowance. She blew it in 3 days, and now she's demanding a raise. So, a lot of you said do not do the allowance, OP, in my last post. And I hear you. I really do. But Jake begged me to try it, just for a month, to show mom we're willing to compromise. Fine, whatever. Sometimes you gotta let the train derail so you can say, told you so, with receipts. We sat down, did some budgeting, and agreed to give Karen $200 a month for essentials. Jake called it a starter allowance. I called it shut her up money. But potato. We told her the rules: groceries, gas, actual bills, no acrylic nails, no Target hauls, no decorative poofs. She agreed, smiled, thanked us, even said she was relieved. Fast forward. 3 days later, I checked the account. $68. Sephora. 45. Cheesecake Factory. What 79? Home Goods. Total. 192. Not even a full week. She literally treated the allowance like it was Black Friday. I told Jake, well, guess the allowance experiment failed, he said. She probably just got excited. We can give her another $200 and she'll pace herself this time. Another $200? This isn't Monopoly money, it's our rent. I said no, firmly. So guess who calls me the next morning? Yep, Karen. She goes, I need my allowance for September. I said, you already spent it. She goes, no, that was just a test run. You need to give me the real one now. A test run. Like she was beta testing her spending spree before the official release. When I laughed, because what else do you do? She snapped and said, I'm your elder. You don't talk to me like that. I wanted to say, okay, boomer, but I like living. Reddit receipts. Because y'all predicted this too. You allowance my dude. Don't give her an allowance. You're basically paying her to keep being irresponsible. Yeah. Wish I'd printed this out and slapped Jake with it. Yo, cheesecake addict. Throff. Cheesecake Factory? My girl is living better than me off your dime, right? She got the Louisiana chicken pasta, and I'm over here eating cereal for dinner. You boomerang moms, OP please. She's going to demand back pay when you say no. This is the beginning of a fake contract. If she starts drawing up invoices, I'm fleeing the country. Meanwhile, Jake is still in peacekeeper mode. He actually said to me last night, maybe $200 isn't enough. Things are expensive right now. Bro, you know what's expensive? Weddings, rent, my sanity. I told him straight up, if Karen keeps leeching off us, I'm not walking down that aisle. And for the first time, he didn't argue. He just looked uncomfortable. Like he's finally realizing mommy's pumpkin spice habit might cost him a wife. TLDR, tried the allowance system. Karen spent it in 3 days on makeup, pasta, and home decor. Now she's demanding more. Jake is wobbling. I'm one decorative poof away from becoming single. Karen tried to open a credit card in Jake's name. I wish I was joking. So, remember when some of you said this would escalate? I thought you were exaggerating for drama. You were not. Here's what happened. Last week, Jake gets a letter in the mail from Chase. I didn't think anything of it until I saw the words, welcome to your new credit card. Except, Jake didn't open a credit card. I asked him if maybe he'd forgotten. He can be absent-minded. But he swore up and down he hadn't applied for anything, so I told him to call the number on the letter. Cue the most awkward phone call of our lives. The rep confirmed the application had come in, but the address and phone number linked to it. Karen's. Yeah, she literally tried to open a credit card in her son's name. When Jake confronted her, she had the audacity to say, it's not a big deal. I would have paid it off. I just didn't want to go through the hassle of opening my own. Not a big deal. Identity theft. But make it family friendly? Jake finally lost it. He told her she crossed the line. That she was risking his credit score. Our financial future, everything. I was honestly impressed. He even used the phrase, financial boundary. Reddit would be proud. But Karen, she cried. Of course. Said we were being cruel. Said she only did it because she felt unsupported. Then she hung up on him. Here's the kicker. Later that night, Jake admitted to me that this shook him. He kept saying, I can't believe she'd do that to me. Which, yeah. Welcome to my TED Talk, buddy. I've been screaming this for weeks. I think he's finally starting to realize that his mom isn't just dramatic. She's reckless, selfish, and honestly, dangerous to our future. Also, for those asking, yes. He reported the fraudulent application to the bank. He froze his credit, put alerts on everything. It's a mess. But at least he's taking it seriously now. Reddit comments have been a weird mix of dump him immediately and good. He's finally waking up, honestly. I'm clinging to the second group. I still want this relationship to work, but if Jake backslides after this, I don't know. TLDR. Karen tried to open a credit card in Jake's name. He finally called her out. She cried, hung up, and now he's starting to realize maybe I'm not just being a controlling witch. Karen crashed our wedding tasting. Yes, she literally showed up to eat free cake and guilt trip us. I didn't think this saga could get more absurd, but here we are. Strap in. So Jake and I had our wedding tasting scheduled last weekend. You know, the fun part. Cake samples, menu decisions, all that good stuff. I was actually excited for the first time in weeks because it felt like our thing, not a war zone. Guess who showed up? Uninvited, with her own fork. Yep, Karen. Apparently she heard about it from Jake's aunt. Thanks. Aunt Karen, real MVP, and decided it was her motherly duty to help guide us. Translation: eat free cake and tell me my taste is too modern. She literally sat down at our table, looked the caterer dead in the eye and said, I'll be approving the chicken. I almost spit my champagne. The actual low point, when the red velvet cake sample came out, Karen sighed dramatically and said, this is what you spend my money on? No wonder I need help. Ma'am, first of all, it's my money. Second, it's cake. Third, leave. I told her, politely, because there were waiters around, that this was a private tasting. She said, private, I'm family. Family doesn't need an invitation. Jake, to his credit, finally stepped up. He told her she wasn't supposed to be there, that she was making things uncomfortable, and that this was about us. She got teary, shocker, and muttered something about being replaced. Then she left. I thought, okay, that was awful, but at least she's gone. Nope. That night, Facebook post number 2 dropped. She wrote a novella about how she was barred from helping plan her only son's wedding, and how I'm erasing her from the family. This time, she added a photo of Jake as a baby, because why not weaponize infant cheeks for sympathy? Of course, the comments poured in. People offering to boycott the wedding, people calling me a gold digger, the whole 9 yards. The difference this time, Jake saw it, and for the first time, he actually defended me. He commented, publicly, that the post was misleading, that I wasn't controlling, and that she needed to stop dragging our private business online. Y'all, I almost cried. It's not perfect. He's still struggling with guilt. But this was the first time he stood up to her in public, not just privately. And honestly, that gave me hope. We talked after, and he admitted he's embarrassed by her behavior. He said he doesn't want to lose me over this, and he actually suggested we talk to a couples counselor before the wedding, which, thank you Reddit, because I know that idea came from you all. TLDR, Karen crashed our wedding tasting with her own fork, insulted my cake choices, then ran to Facebook again. Jake finally defended me publicly, and now counseling is on the table. Karen tried to put a deposit on a second wedding venue in our names. I wish I was making this up. So counseling has started, and honestly it's helping. More on that later. But while Jake is trying to grow a spine, Karen seems determined to make sure the wedding is less about us, and more about her starring in The Real Housewives of Target. Here's the latest insanity. Last week, I get a call from a venue I've never even heard of. They say, "Hi, we're just confirming the deposit you made for your wedding reception." Me, wrong number. Them, no, it's under Jake's last name. We have you down for September 14th, 2025. That's our actual date, but not our actual venue. I tell them we already booked somewhere else. They say, well, your mother came in and insisted this was the right place. Yep, Karen. She tried to book a whole second venue, just in case. When I confronted her, she acted like she'd done us a favor. Her exact words, "Your choice was too small. I wanted something that reflected the family's status." What status, Karen? You don't even have status with your credit score. She also dropped this gem. "You'll thank me later." Spoiler, I will not be thanking her later. Jake was horrified when he found out. Like actually horrified. He immediately called the venue, explained it was a mistake, and made sure no contracts were signed under his name. He also yelled at his mom, which was satisfying to watch. But Karen didn't apologize. She doubled down, said she was protecting the family image, and accused me of being cheap. Cheap, from the woman who blew $200 on Cheesecake Factory in 3 days. Meanwhile, Reddit comments are all basically, OP, she's going to crash the wedding. And yeah, at this point I'd bet money on it. I feel like I'm planning 2 weddings. Mine and the one Karen is secretly constructing in her head with unlimited Target decor. The counselor, bless her patient soul, told Jake he has to start setting firm consequences, not just boundaries, which means if Karen keeps pulling this, she doesn't get to be part of the planning at all. Jake actually agreed. For once, it felt like we were a team. But honestly, I'm bracing myself, because if she's already trying to hijack venues, I can't imagine what fresh hell she's planning for the dress shopping, the guest list, or, God help me, the actual ceremony. TLDR, Karen tried to secretly book a second wedding venue in our names. Jake shut it down. Counselor says it's time for consequences, and I'm mentally preparing for her to parachute into the wedding like it's D-Day. Karen hijacked my wedding dress appointment. She showed up in a white gown. So remember how I said I was bracing myself for dress shopping? Yeah, should have worn body armor. I made the mistake of telling Jake's cousin, who's normally cool, about my appointment at a boutique. Word spread. And guess who waltzed in halfway through my fitting like she was auditioning for Say Yes to the Dress, Nightmare Edition? Karen. Not only did she show up uninvited, she showed up wearing a white gown. Not a wedding gown, but like, close enough. Floor length, beaded, sparkly, the whole 9 yards. She looked me dead in the eye and said, I wanted to see how I'd look walking down the aisle too. Excuse me? The consultant froze. My mom, who was with me, looked like she was about to physically remove her. And Karen, she just sat herself down, pulled out her phone and started taking pictures of me in every dress. When I asked her, politely at first, to stop, she said, I'm just sending them to family so they can vote, on my wedding dress. At one point she actually pointed to a very poofy princess gown and said, that one will cover your hips better. You don't want to look wide in photos. Reader, I almost committed crimes. Jake was not there, but when I told him what happened, he looked mortified. For the first time, he was the one to call her instead of me pushing him. And apparently he went off because she texted me later saying, I don't know why Jake is being so cruel. I was only trying to help. Help? Help? Ma'am, you were auditioning for the lead role in Wedding Crasher the sequel. The good news, Jake actually sided with me fully. He said she's officially banned from all future wedding-related events. No dress shopping, no cake tastings, no vendor meetings, Nothing. The bad news. She's now telling everyone she's being excluded from her only son's big day. I heard through this grapevine that she's planning her own celebration dinner with some of Jake's extended family the night before our wedding. Like a rival pre-wedding event. Who does that? I've stopped reading most of the comments because honestly, everyone keeps saying, just run. And while I get it, I don't want to. I love Jake, and seeing him finally put his foot down has made me feel like maybe we can survive this, but I also feel like Karen isn't done. Not by a long shot. TLDR. Karen crashed my wedding dress appointment in a literal white gown, took pictures, insulted me, and tried to crowdsource votes for my dress. Jake finally banned her from all wedding planning, but she's plotting her own rival event. Karen hijacked our rehearsal dinner with a slideshow about Jake's childhood. I nearly walked out. So, we made it to the rehearsal dinner. Barely. I was nervous going in, because, despite being banned from all planning events, Karen was obviously still invited. Jake didn't want to uninvite his own mom from the actual wedding. Fine. I agreed, but only with the promise that he'd handle her if she pulled anything, and boy, did she pull something. We're halfway through dinner. Things are going smoothly. People are laughing. Food is good. Then suddenly, the lights dim. I swear to God, I thought the restaurant had a power outage. Nope. It was Karen. She'd brought a projector. Projector. Next thing I know, there's a giant slideshow on the wall of Jake's baby pictures, middle school sports photos, random family vacations, all set to Celine Dion's Because You Loved Me. Everyone clapped at first because they thought it was sweet, but then the commentary started. Karen stood there with a microphone. She brought her own mic, I can't make this up, and narrated each slide. And of course, it wasn't just, "Aw, look at baby Jake." It was, "Here's Jake at his first soccer game. He cried until I picked him up. Here's Jake at prom. The girl wasn't good enough for him, just like some people now." Yes, she looked right at me when she said it. "And here's Jake on his first day of college. He almost didn't go because he didn't want to leave me." I was sitting there, clutching my wine glass so hard I thought it might shatter. Jake eventually stood up and cut her off. He literally took the mic from her hand and told her it was inappropriate. She started crying, predictably, saying she just wanted to remind everyone where he came from, before he leaves her forever. Half the family looked horrified. The other half clapped like it was a Broadway show. The car ride home was rough. I told Jake flat out, if anything like that happens tomorrow at the actual wedding, I'm done. Like, done. He promised that he wouldn't let her ruin the day. He even said he'd have one of his groomsmen on Karen duty to keep her in check. Reddit would be proud. I, however, am still one Celine Dion ballad away from a breakdown. TLDR. Karen turned our rehearsal dinner into a one-woman show with a slideshow, a microphone, and passive-aggressive digs at me. Jake shut it down, but I told him if she pulls something at the wedding, it's over. Karen wore a white gown to my wedding, grabbed the mic and almost stopped the ceremony. Y'all, I survived my wedding, but just barely. The morning started deceptively calm. My friends were hyping me up. Hair and makeup were perfect. Jake texted me a sweet, "See you at the altar" message. For a brief moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, Karen would behave. Ha, ha, ha. She showed up in a floor-length white gown, not quite bridal, but close enough that multiple guests whispered, "Wait, is that the bride?" when she walked in. The audacity was breathtaking. My maid of honor actually tried to block her at the door, but Jake begged me to let it slide to avoid a scene. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Bad mistake. The ceremony starts. I walk down the aisle, heart pounding, trying to ignore her glaring at me like she's auditioning for Carrie, Mill edition. We get to the vows. I'm mid-sentence, when suddenly Karen stands up, marches to the front, and yanks the microphone out of the officiant's hand. She says, and I quote, "I can't let this happen. My son doesn't understand what he's giving up. Marriage means losing your mother, and I won't be erased." Gasps. Literal gasps. One of Jake's uncles yelled, "Sit down, Karen," but she kept going, launching into a rambling speech about how Jake was her whole world and how I was stealing him. At this point, Jake finally snapped. He took the mic from her and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mom, this isn't about you. If you can't support me, you can leave." Dead. Silence. She burst into tears. "Of course," and stormed out. Half the family followed her, the other half stayed frozen in shock. And then, like the absolute champ he is, Jake turned back to me and said, "Where were we?" "Reader." I laughed. I laughed so hard I almost cried off my mascara. Then I finished my vows. The rest of the wedding was actually amazing. Once Karen was gone, everyone relaxed. People danced, ate, drank, and kept saying it was the most memorable wedding they'd ever been to. No kidding. Karen, meanwhile, posted another Facebook rant that night about being publicly humiliated. I didn't read it. I was too busy drinking champagne and eating cake with my husband. Jake and I are in counseling. We're stronger than we were, and we've agreed on a united front moving forward. No more access to our money, no more enabling, and very, very low contact with Karen until she gets her act together. LOL. TLDR. Karen wore white, tried to stop the wedding mid-vows, got kicked out by Jake. We got married anyway, and had an incredible night without her. Honestly, Best day ever, chaos and all. Final update. 6 months later, married life is good. Karen is still on Facebook, and we finally have peace, kind of. Hey everyone. Figured I'd circle back one last time, since so many of you have been along for the ride from Target receipts to Karen crashing my vows. It's been 6 months since the wedding, and honestly, things are good. Like shockingly normal good. Married life, Jake and I are doing better than ever. Counseling has been huge for us. We still go once a month. And it's helped him untangle years of guilt, and Mom is always right brainwashing. He's way more confident setting boundaries now. He even jokes about it sometimes. The other day I said, "Should we splurge on takeout?" And he deadpanned, "Better check if Mom's already spent the money on candles." Growth, people. Money situation. Our accounts are separate now, with one small joint one for bills. Passwords are locked tighter than Fort Knox. No more mystery Venmo charges, no more allowances, no more decorative poofs. My blood pressure thanks me daily. Karen update, because I know you're curious. She did not apologize, not for the Facebook rants, not for the credit card stunt, not for wearing white to my wedding. Nothing. But after the wedding fiasco, Jake went almost completely no contact. She tried the guilt trip routine for a while. I guess you've abandoned me for her, but he didn't budge. Now they talk maybe once a month and it's surface level stuff. She's still posting on Facebook though. Last week she uploaded a photo of herself in a white dress with the caption, "Some women are brides every day in their hearts." I had to physically put my phone down and walk away. Family fallout. Some relatives still think I'm the wicked witch who stole their golden boy, whatever. Others quietly told me after the wedding that they were proud of us for standing our ground. So the family's divided. But honestly, I don't care. I didn't marry them. Me, personally, I'm proud of myself. I stuck to my boundaries. I didn't cave to chaos. And I married the guy I love without letting his mom bulldoze me. Did it almost derail everything? Sure. But at the end of the day, Jake proved he was worth it. And that's all that matters. So yeah, that's where we're at. Happy, healthy, candle-free. Thanks to everyone who gave advice, laughed with me, and occasionally yelled at me through your keyboards. Reddit honestly gave me the backbone to get through this without losing my mind. And if you're reading this while fighting your own Karen, my advice: set boundaries early, lock your bank accounts, and never underestimate a woman with a Target addiction and a Facebook password. Final TLDR, 6 months later. We're married, happy, and in counseling.